bang, and the fic is gone. Yes, the fic has exploded. Yes, this is the aftermath of what happened in yesterday's episode after Reese has crashed his car into the fic by accident because Sidney pushed in front of Reese's car, and then he swerved and he crashed into the Vic.
I mean, say that we still don't really know what the plan was for Reese. He was just kind of angrily tailing the place. Yeah, I don't even know why. Honestly, he was just really mad.
He
was singing. He was raging some music in the car.
Rage Against. He was singing Papa Roach's Last Resort in the car.
Exactly.
And as I was saying, so the fic has exploded. Now we see multiple people are trapped inside. Mainly, Freddy's trapped under some beams. Alfie's trapped. Other people are trapped. Howie, Kim, Suki and Nugget and Avani are all trapped inside. And throughout the episode, we just see them go through it. And Martin does rescue some of them. Some of them do escape. Some of them being Ruby, Alfie, Stacy, or not Stacy, Jean, and Lily.
Let's be honest, most of them. It's easier to say who didn't escape.
Yeah.
All right, Stacy, Martin, they're still in there. Bloody hell. Kathy, Cindy, they're paired up as well. Sonia, Lauren, Sharon. Is that it? I think that's both. I think that's mostly everyone.
Yeah. And we also see another part. We see Grant is trying to wrestle Phil with the gun because Phil wants to shoot himself. And honestly, I'm just going to run through these bits first because it's better off. And I'll intersect the last bit of that into the end of this. So Phil wrestles Grant. Or no, Grant wrestles Phil over the gun. And Phil literally goes, I'm just going to shoot myself. And Grant went, don't do it, you're being silly. And then he literally points it to his head and just the gun doesn't go off. And I'm like, oh no, Phil, no. And then he just gets mad. And then Nigel goes, enough is enough, stop this. First actually Linda talks to Phil, and Phil's like, I'm feeling depressed, I don't know how to feel, Linda. And Linda's like, it's alright, Phil, it's alright to open up. And then on the other hand, you have Nigel who's trying to tell Grant it's all right.
And Grant's still in the Eric perpetuated toxic masculinity. Just need to grow up and get over it. It's like, Grant, this is a part of the problem. You are a part of the problem here. Instead of talking about your feelings, you've just put it in a little bottle in the back of your mind that's slowly gonna just break and get glass everywhere.
Yeah, and yeah. So then Nigel comes in and goes, look, Phil, I want you to be strong. And I'm going to be honest with you, Phil, I have dementia. And Phil just goes, what do you mean? Yeah, I have dementia. So just like you, I have to be strong. And together we can fight this. We can fight this together. And from spoilers of next week, apparently Grant talks to Nigel and Grant finds out. And spoiler. So yeah, you'll see more of that in the spoilers this coming week. Video.
But him and Linda as well. Phil finally breaks when talking to Linda. He finally fully opens up. Everybody's kind of been joking that Phil has been on the verge of tears in every single scene for 4 months now, but he finally just lets it all go. Just fully starts crying, opening up about how the stuff he's seen and all the voices in his head telling him that it's over and his kids will be better without him in it, and it was time to go. He believes it was his time to go. And just it's a really nice thing to get, because we didn't really know how Linda was going to be involved in the 40th anniversary. We assumed at different points in time it was going to be the 6th. It was going to be the 6th storyline. It was going to culminate in the 40th anniversary. There we go. But then she went to rehab after the nice little imaginary scenario, what could have been had she continued drinking. But she came back from rehab, and then suddenly people going, there we are. Mick Carter's going to return. The Carters are going to leave. They're going to leave. It's the end. It's over. Linda's gone. But no, she has been involved in the Phil stuff, as Phil was supporting her as her sponsor, when she was at her lowest, when she was at rock bottom over this last little time period. So it's it's a duo we never knew we needed, but now we have it. It feels wrong to not see it again. Like, we need more of Phil and Linda. As said before, Linda's probably been one of the biggest. Honestly, the biggest beneficiary of Mick leaving is Linda. It's simply said. She has benefited so much. She has ascended to a much greater status than she was before, because her actions, she was always the bad to Mick's good. But now she's finally been able to flourish on her own 2 feet. And being involved in this Phil Mitchell depression and suicide storyline is exceptional. So, and yeah, obviously Nigel finally breaking and telling Phil that he has dementia, which I think it's the first time in a while where Phil has genuinely been present. Like, when you're depressed and you're kind of vacant and isolated and everything's going on in your head, it's a battle. It's a constant battle. You're trying to be there, but you physically can't and you don't have the energy to. When Nigel tells Phil that he has dementia, Phil is finally mentally in the room. He's finally there. And that's when they kind of he holds his hand and they comfort each other. And it's just, wow. It's just exceptional stuff. If I cried at soaps, I would be in tears at this, because it goes so deep and it goes so far and it goes the furthest it possibly could. And it's just really, really top-notch stuff.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, mate?
It's generally, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed Phil, just because that's sort of the thing with the way Phil was raised by Eric, is he was taught don't open about your feelings, just be a pussy and don't open up. That's a blunt way of
those
putting
words
it.
were probably used.
yeah. Those were. If EastEnders was post Watershed, that would definitely be the words used.
I mean, we even saw it with Grant, as I said before, where it's you just grow up and get over it,
Yeah, and yeah. So Phil, it's nice to see Phil finally opens up and just honestly just is allowed to be himself.
Yeah.
Because I think now, unless Ben Wadey swerves us and he goes in the direction of crime, I think having an old Phil Mitchell who wants to play catch with his son Albie, instead of getting Albie into crime or Ben into crime, I think that will be much better, because again, I don't know how old Steve McFadden is in real life, but he's in his early or late 60s.
I mean, he's in his 60s, he's late 50s, early 60s, right? But yeah,
I just don't see.
Sorry, Karen.
I just don't see I don't see Steve McFadden doing all these big action hero scenes anymore. I think he can only I'm not saying he'll turn into Dot, where he's just going, oh, I say, but I can see him just being a more relaxed character now, instead of this, alright, I'll bloody well shoot you. It's yeah, well, that's...
I mean, it's like I said in the reactions, I think this is the transitional period for the character. He's no longer the Phil Mitchell we know, and he's no longer the Phil Mitchell that he's been for the last years. He's an older Phil now. Yes, Steve is 65. Yeah, he's an older man now. He can't be the crime boss. He can't be the governor. And that's he goes in with Linda, where he's I'm tired of trying to be the Phil Mitchell people expect me to be. Or the pressure, whether it was from Peggy, whether it was from his family, whether it was just from the perception, the aura he created. Now Phil is finally allowed to shed that weight that was pulling him down. It was pulling him down, and now he is finally gonna heal. Do I think Phil will consistently talk about his feelings from now on? Probably not that far, He's probably not going to change that much, but as I mean, it was a very open secret a couple of years ago where Steve McFadden, the actor, went to the guys saying, guys, I'm tired, man. I don't want to be in the biggest storylines every year. I don't want to do the physical stuff anymore. I'm tired. I'm old. Let someone else do that stuff for me. And that's why in all of the scenes where he's supposed to be violent, he just brings out his old friend Batty, and he just looks menacing with it.
Yeah.
But it's and him talking to Linda as well, like I said, it's all the stuff about kind of dropping the toxic masculinity that he's been raised into. And then Nigel gets he's called a person from mental health team, and Phil initially resistant, like, yo, I don't need help, I don't need a shrink, they're gonna section me. But very quickly Phil he realizes with a bit of Linda support that maybe it is time, and at that point he talks about like the people he's been seeing, his dad, his younger self, and at that point he kind of realizes that he needs this. Like it's not an option to not take this help.
Yeah. And that is all of Phil's scenes until Linda goes back to it goes to the cafe at the end. But I'll talk about that near the end. So yeah, back in the fire, we see Lauren has got.
There's also a slight bit is we also get Nigel finally getting Grant to be like, look at how bad he's gotten. This is the problem. You need to see this for yourself. And I think it'll be a thing of Grant having to realize that Phil's been through a lot, and he's not the brother he used to be in a way. So, will he support him in his crisis? You'd have to believe so.
I heard that Ross Kemp is leaving again next week, so like, unless they're gonna do like video calls where he's just like in his own house.
Who knows, man?
Who knows? Because you can't really.
I mean, you would hope he does something. I mean, this probably isn't this place. I'll go more into this on the podcast, but Grant has felt so out of place in these episodes. I know there's not really been the room for him to do much, but fuck me, is it? If you've, how actors struggle to shed the image of the soap character.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Ross Kemp has fully shedded the Grant Mitchell image, despite looking, sounding, and acting the exact same. He's completely managed to shed the image. So it feels so out of place. He doesn't fit in with EastEnders at this point. I could be wrong, I could be kind of emphasizing it too heavily, but I really hope that next week, when the dust settles, we do actually get some proper performances from Grant, because otherwise I'd never want to see him back again.
It's hard to step into a character that you rarely play anymore, I think. Like, you'll always be able to play the character, but they'll probably run to, if you're only doing it for a certain but when you're only doing it for a certain amount of time, like you're gone for a certain amount of time, you're gonna forget. Like, obviously, like Leslie Grantham when he returned as Dan Watts, obviously for the first few like times he was filming, he probably forgot how to play Dan Watts until he was occasionally there every week doing it. It's probably the same with Ross Kemp, where he's been Ross Kemp more times than he's been Grant. It's hard for him to be Grant, and especially since he's only doing like 2 weeks, he can't really he's not showing up every Monday to Friday performing as Grant. He's only showing up like Monday, Wednesday, maybe Thursday, and then leaving because he's a high paid, well, high in a regard, high paid actor. He is. Like he's like people want him for documentaries and stuff, so he's a bit more. Yeah, he has a lot tighter schedule, I should say. So it's very also hard in my opinion, because when you have Phil who's depressed, Grant doesn't really work because Grant just feels like awkward. Does that make sense? He feels a bit awkward. It's kind of like if something bad happens to you and then your brother goes, well, the house did burn down, but it could be worse. Or it could be worse. It could be the entire street.
And even if they showed up for the first time in like a decade as well. Oh, what are you crying about? Oh, you've not been here. Come on. Like, Tony Peterson in our live chat says Ross said that he would come back one more time, but that would be when Steve McFadden leaves the soap. I mean, fair enough. That's a pretty good way. I mean, you can tell, you can kind of tell that, and you can tell for a long time, his heart's not in it anymore. No. And I think his last appearance was a bit stronger, and obviously we can't really view it in its whole like inception. He's only been in 4 episodes now. And all of them have been short, and all of them have had something bigger happening. But yeah, it's just like you can tell that he wants to be there for the big moments, but he's never going to be that guy who's doing a 9 to 5 EastEnders stint again.
Yeah,
unless Phil goes, of course.
Unless the money dries up, which it very likely won't. But the other thing I'll just say about Grant is I could see Ross Kemp doing a final stint as Grant in about 10 to 15 years, where he just fully leaves, where he either dies off screen or he just leaves, and then that's it for Grant. Because I don't know how many times you can keep bringing him back, because like Peggy's gone and Phil doesn't really fit in. Like you can bring back young Grant, but that only works when you're doing the flashback episodes. Also, I did see the photo of young Phil and young Grant with Ross Kemp, and it buckled me so much. I'm like, why isn't Phil there? I wanted like the three of them, the four of them.
We've had it happen again. We've had it happen. You know how at Christmas I joked about how someone after we saw Keanu die.
Yeah.
Someone posted, bloody, I think Keanu dies. He's going to be stabbed by a meat thermometer. Someone has commented on who is the shocking return? Angie Watts 10 seconds ago. We see you, Kevin. We see you. You're not sly. You're not sly. People love to do it. But yeah, I think that's probably enough on the Ross stuff, on the Grant stuff.
Sorry for that camera flicker. I didn't know that. I was just gonna keep talking. But anyways, up next is So it's been spoiled, so why not? We might as well go through. Sharon is trapped under some rubble at the bottom of the stairs, and wouldn't you look at it, who appears? Dirty Den. Yes, it's Dirty Den. Dirty Den has returned. One last time. No, he hasn't. And then it's actually Angie. It's Angie. And I've read from the BBC itself, as posted, that she's in her iconic outfit from the first ever episode of EastEnders.
Yes.
Where was that stored? What?
I mean, they keep all the costumes around. It's an iconic outfit, right? Like you don't get rid of Den Watts' like big leather coat that he wore in the end. You don't get rid of Grant's filled like leather jacket. You don't get. To be fair, most of the men just wore leather jackets. Really, that's what we're learning. But it's But yeah, like Anita Dobson reprised the role of Angie Watts, a character who hasn't been seen on screen since 98? Or 88 rather, not been seen since 1988. Sharon's mum, an alcoholic in her own right, most famously in the most viewed, like, is it what TV episode of all time? I don't know. There was some stat in the Ross Kemp documentary.
It was the most viewed TV episode of all time. In the UK.
What, 30 million viewers, and it's but the main tragedy of Angie Watts is obviously she was a tragic character in her own right because she was trying to love a man that never loved her back, but was still in this perpetual cycle of drink, and now she was drinking to cope, and she was an alcoholic, and in 2001 she drinks herself to death. So at that point you quickly go, okay, I guess we're never seeing Angie Watts ever again. And we'd all generally made peace with that, and we'd all seen in the old Ross Kemp show, we'd all seen in that documentary that she made a return and she was on set. And you know, I'm not tooting my own horn, but I am. I did say that it was a pretty good excuse to bring back. I didn't predict her returning, of course, but like them doing the documentary was a pretty good excuse to bring back some old faces and potentially have them play a part. Like Tony in the live chat said, Ross was only supposed to film the 40th anniversary documentary, and it was a twist of fate. They asked him to stay on for a few weeks. Once again, a good way to bring all the characters back, not really been on the show, and then you slowly intertwine them. And so, yeah, as Piggy said, Sharon is in trouble. She is under a bunch of rubble. I don't know why I said it like that, but it's just stupid.
Doing the Brian Cox documentary stuff.
And we see Angie, as Piggy said, in the first outfit she wore, the like famous Angie outfit, with the hair, still the big like brown hair, all the makeup. Honestly, she looked incredible. Like they transformed her back into Angie Watts. It's insane. It is ridiculous how well she looked. And it's just basically, she says, like, just like Den said, hello, princess, she says, like, hello, darling. It's like, ah. And just generally, she gives her a pep talk, being like, look, you're doing really well. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of who you've become. But, like, you need to fight. Because if you, like, basically saying, if you don't fight, you will die. You will die. So you need to shout. You need to shout loud, and that's where she finds some help.
Exactly, and then, yeah, Tony Paris and Peterson. It was the first hour. I believe that's what the BBC said. I believe on the official EastEnders Instagram page, it was the first ever outfit she wore. But yeah, as I was saying, so as we were saying, Grant, meanwhile, while Linda's talking to Phil, runs into the fake with Bianca, because Bianca's worried where Sonia and Lauren is. They're just having ice cream. Is Lauren and Sonia, and
Yeah.
Grant. I keep trying to call him Ross Kemp because he just acts like Ross Kemp. It's
so synonymous.
But yeah, Grant runs in. He grabs Sharon. He breaks the door, not the door down. He breaks the stairs down. Like he grabs that banister and just rips it off, and just picks up Sharon and runs out the building. While Bianca stays with Sonia and Lauren. I guess this is where I can talk about.
And it's also where it's the funny parallel of Sharon's past and her present, because you have Teddy, he's a poser. He's like, "Oh, Barney, you doing all right there?" And so he sees Grant bring his girlfriend out of the Vic, get her some medical attention, and he's just kind of like, "Oh, hello, Grant." it's like a sad puppy because he's a poser. He wasn't trying to save the person who he's with. He's on fraud watch, is all I'm saying.
And while Grant was running in to the fake, we seen someone was hiding behind a wheelie bin, a dustbin, whatever you want to call it.
He's indestructible, is Reese.
Reese was hiding behind a dustbin, wheelie bin, and Bianca breaks down, goes in to see Sonia, and Lauren. God, I am so excited to talk about this, and I can't wait to talk about it again tomorrow on the podcast that's coming out Sunday. So
it's insane. It's insane.
Reese.
Sonia's been having contractions. She's playing a game of Mousetrap. The lights are off. What else are you supposed to do? She's having contractions. The baby's coming. The baby is coming, trapped in a burnt out Queen Vic. Shit's falling and flying everywhere, and Bianca's there to help her. But she's not alone.
Alright. So Reese gets in and he goes, hello, you doing alright there? Sonia, I'm here to look after you. And Sonia's like, get away from me, you freak. I don't want to be anywhere near you. Get away from me, you fucking freak. You're a freak. Get away from me.
I don't want you anywhere near me or this baby.
And then Reese is like, yeah, it's alright. It's alright, Sonia. It's alright. I'm here now, Sonia. I'm here, Sonia. And then
no, Sonia. I'm here for you, Sonia. No, bloody hell.
And then a bit of rubble falls and just misses Reese, and Reese sat.
Well, it's just Reese is overhanging into Bianca. Bianca's got a rolling pin,
and then just pushes him.
She pushes him, and
then a bit of rubble falls and just misses him, and he's like, "Oh!"
It knocks him on his ass,
and then he's like, "Oh, that could have went badly," and
there he goes, "Oh, that was a close one."
And then a bathtub falls on top
of bathtub through the ceiling smash.
And
Reese has been killed by bathtub. It's honestly, I never knew how to talk about the storyline. I never knew how to feel. Reese dying by bathtub describes that storyline entirely. Clumsy, stupid, oafish, kind of you don't know whether to laugh or just be miffed.
So yeah, and if you don't...
memorable. It is memorable. Never forgetting the Reese bathtub death. Bathgate. Yes, Tony.
But as I was saying, the reason why this is so funny to me is because of, if you don't know the lore, Debbie had a stroke in a bathtub and we're led to believe Reese caused this. So it's ironic that the thing that kills him is the thing that put his wife in a comatose state. Also, what the chat said earlier on, while we were watching the live episode, they would have loved to see Brenda in a little sailor's hat. fully nude, dropping the bomb in the bathtub, just right on top of her. Yeah.
Did somebody ask for a bath bomb? Sorry, that would only be there for Hollyoaks.
Sorry. Use just upstairs like bombs away. Boom. I'm just thinking of Homer when he had that nuke in that Simpsons episode.
Keep going.
But yeah, so Reese is dead. Bianca checks on him, and yeah, he's dead. He has died by a bathtub. And so Sonia is about to give birth, and Bianca's like, really in here?
They're like, oh yeah, we'll get you out. We'll get you out, Sonia. We'll get you out. Don't worry. And Sonia's like, this baby's coming.
This baby is definitely coming.
I suppose now we can briefly talk. There was a second vote that they teased and kind of talked about, but not really mentioned like heavily. It wasn't really built to. And what the extra fan vote is who was the baby gonna be called? Is it gonna be called Tony with an I, or Julia? And that obviously an homage to the creators of EastEnders, Julia Smith and Tony Holland. A nice way to mark the anniversary and a nice way to do it. And let's be honest, they were so ready to call it Dot. They were so ready to call that baby Dot or Pauline or Lou or something. Like, they were so prepared. So it's nice to mark the history.
Ash, don't you worry. When that baby's born and it's a 50-50 that baby's going to be called Julia, Tony, Pauline, Dot, Ethel. Ethel. Just like how I have 4 names in real life. Just like, oh, what's your name? Julia, Tony, Ethel, Dot, Pauline, Mark.
We just bloody love EastEnders history.
Michelle as well. Just get that in there as well.
Yes.
Lou Beale, and then her last name's just Lou Beale. Fowler.
But just to round this out a bit more, Jack Murray in the chat says, so fitting that Reese being killed by the bathtub when Debbie had a stroke in one was poetic justice to this absolute imbecile of a character. Couldn't have put it better myself.
Yeah, and now it's time to get serious again as well.
I mean, just a bit of, honestly, just a bit about Sonia giving birth. Sonia is obviously going to be giving birth in the live episode, and honestly, as far as everybody said, it's the easiest live episode you'll ever have to do. You don't have to do anything. You have to sit there and go. You just have to push. You just have to scream. I think the worst offender of this was, and now I'm pretty sure, didn't Kim give birth in a live episode?
No, I don't think so.
I swear she did.
She
did.
And then 3.
my biggest offender of this is Fizz from Coronation Street, where she was howling giving birth, and it's forever burned into my brain, and I'll never forget it. It haunts me. My
question is, since there will be in where the bathtub is, are they just getting Johnny Friedman to sit underneath like the bathtub, just dead, just like pull my headphones fell off, just like
I mean, it's like in Game of Thrones where the actor who played Joffrey, who, spoiler, dies. Not the actor, the guy. It's in the show, the character. There we are. But like in one scene, he just had like stones over his eyes because obviously it's Game of Thrones. It's supposed to be like medieval fantasy bollocks, whatever. Regardless, but like the easiest day of filming is he just had to basically lie on a thing for about 4 hours and he was just nodding off, having a sleep because his eyes were covered and they were all talking around him.
Easy payday ever. Oh yeah, Pearl was born on the 19th of February. Yeah. Thank you. I was incorrect. Thank you.
EastEnders historian.
Yeah. And now it's time to get to Stacy and Martin. Stacy's trapped in the bog. All the family members are gone. I did bring it back, Chicken Nugget Lover 69. I did bring it back. It's the important bit. Trapped in the bog. And Martin goes in to save Stacy. And like in any scenario, you'd be like, are you alright? Do you want to get out of here? Yeah. Stacy's like, no. How about you tell me you love me? Choose between me and Ruby. And it's like, you do realise the whole pub is collapsing behind us. You do realise that, right? You do realise the whole pub is about to collapse. And she's just like, but tell me you love me. The pub is about to collapse. And then Martin's like, I don't know. And then they go to open a door. They go to open a door like that.
I like you have the visual of opening a door. And then, in case people don't know what that is.
And then a giant explosion comes in. A giant explosion just hits them.
I was getting so mad at this. Obviously, the reactions will be out at some point, like Saturday. I was getting so heated, just like, stop fucking talking, get out of the building. Obviously, it's the idea that, if this goes bad, we'll never have this moment, have this conversation. It's drama, of course. But it's like, Stacy, for fuck's sake, have this conversation outside the fucking building that's gonna crumble. It's gonna collapse. Get out of the fucking building, for fuck's sake. And, it's just like, oh, but you chose me, Martin. You chose me. We're not leaving till you tell me that you love me. It's like, fucking, if Martin dies, I'm gonna be very upset.
I
downplayed it a little bit. I'll be fuming.
He'll die by toilet. Reese died by bathtub. He'll die by toilet. And then they go to leave, and wouldn't you know it, in the barrel stall, Stacy's like, what do you want, Martin? Martin's like, all I want, love, is a cup of tea when I get out of this. Normal every British person ever in this scenario. And then a beam comes flying in. He just pushes Stacy into the barrels, and a beam collapses between his legs, or collapses on his legs.
Well, it's just in the middle of his body. So Martin is pinned down by a massive, steel girder, probably can't feel his legs. He screams in agony. And this was all just because Stacy and Martin fucking had to have this conversation about their feelings. Which, hey, look, everybody pushed to the absolute brink have to have a conversation about their feelings. Phil was about to end everything to avoid talking about his feelings. So, it's formulaic. I'm not looking forward to... Martin is still at risk, right? Reese was the confirmed person to die, rightfully so. Good fitting end for the character. But still, there's still a lot of danger, and will people actually be able to get to Martin in time? You'd like to believe so, but there's still a bit of risk.
Yeah, and that has been the review of the
I suppose other than that, it's just been it's been the most infuriating part of the episode, though. Fundamentally, and we'll do a review of the week. I'll come out on Friday, I believe, but that was the most infuriating bit of the episode. But all in all, this was an hour-long episode. It was really fucking good. A lot of incredible stuff, a lot of emotional stuff, a lot of dramatic stuff. We didn't even talk about Cindy and Kathy. That's how packed it was, but we're saving that for the podcast.
Exactly. And just to read some comments here, the dog is still in there. Ethel, lovely Ethel. Scran says, I hope Brenda tells Sonia the full details of Reese did to cause Debbie's stroke, possibly at the funeral. Next episode, Stacy proposes to Martin while she's dying in agony under the beam. Romeo and Juliet could never. And if you want to be a part of this, join us for the final watch along tomorrow on the 20th of February, the live episode. We will be live. There will be a Walford on Tap going out afterwards around half 8, 9 p.m, half 9. Don't quote me on that. Depends how long we're chatting. And then there will be a live podcast being recorded on tomorrow's episode. And that
if I'm not too knackered.
What, the podcast or?
Yes.
Well, the podcast might be recorded tomorrow, depending if Ash is knackered or not. It depends. And then there will be an episode either recorded again tomorrow or Friday. Depends if Ash is knackered or not. And you can, we might go, if Ash doesn't do it Friday, we might just do it, or Thursday, we might just go live Friday in the night.
Yeah.
Probably. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Bye bye.